Namaste and good morning. As now we come to our fourth meditation practice. And once again, I want to express my gratitude to the Recovery Cafe and the staff at the Recovery Cafe for making this possible. I have a long history with the cafe. I've been here for almost from the very beginning, and the wonderful gift that this place is for so many people and has been for so many years. You just can't say enough about the value of this place and this community and the people that it provides such a wonderful support to. And the people who make that possible working here, expressing my gratitude to them as well. And for those of you who would like to make a donation, please do that. You can go to the website and find the donation connection there and go ahead and do it in that way. It's a good thing to do. Good karma. I also want to express my gratitude to the lineage, the teachers that I have had over the years. This lineage is done person to person to person. It's so important to always stress that. This is not something that I made up or one of my teachers made up. We learn this as we continue this conversation about the investigation of consciousness. The practice today will be focusing on the relationship between the world that I live in, outside of me, in yoga, Buddhism, this calls the world of samsara, and the inner world that I experience in moments of balance and calmness, nirvana. We always begin with certain practices to prepare the body, moving around on my chair to feel that connection of my feet, my thighs, my sitting bones, here in this place at this time. Becoming aware of my body, the sensations of my body. Now I'm going to be doing the practice sitting down on the floor. So I'm going to move the chair. But for those of you who are on the chair, I want to be sure that the feet are on the floor, the backs of the thighs all resting on the seat of the chair. And you can move your hips back to kind of touch the back of the chair with your sacrum. If the chair is too high, you want to put something underneath the back of your thighs to pick up the hips. Excuse me, if the chair is too low, you want to put something underneath the back of your thighs to pick up the hips. If the chair is too high, you're going to put something underneath your hips to pick them up so that you can rest on the floor. Seated practice, the preparation is a little different. My ankles are on the mat. My hips are resting on the blanket. I want to be able to kind of rock forward and be sure that my thighs are approximately parallel to the floor. My knees are not too high. If my knees are like this, I'm leaning back, and I really can't be comfortable. I want that stability of this form. I can also let my feet come apart so my lower legs are resting on the chair. Another way, resting on the seat, resting on the floor. Another way to feel my body. The form that we come into in meditation, on the floor, on the chair, needs to be done, needs to be steady, so I can feel that lack of movement in my body to establish the firmness that I need as I work internally to investigate, in this case, my breath now. Going from the body awareness to the breath, feeling the way the breath comes into the body, the way the breath goes out of the body. allowing the body to soften and relax as I prepare now for the next practice. And being aware of my breath. We'll spend a bit more time in this awareness because the breath will be such an important part of our practice going forward. Allow the belly to expand as you inhale. We want that fullness and fatness of the belly as you inhale. Make it as big as you can, and begin to pull the belly in toward the front of the spine as you exhale. Make the movements dramatic, firm, complete. Big expansion, breath flowing in, fullness, contracting, pulling in, actually lifting the pelvis above the floor with that deep contraction. Creating power. Try to make some noise with your practice. Really filling the lungs. The whole body fills with prana. Prana, life force, awareness of life force in the body. Prana. 4 or 5 big breathing cycles like this to get that. Now keep the extension of the body as you inhale. Try not to collapse into the floor. Maybe make the core strong. The core wraps all the way around the body, not just the front. Keep that lifting. And then slowly relax. And let the body become quiet. The breath to become still. And you to be aware of your awareness of this transition. Your mind being present to the body, its form, the breath, its power, its life-giving quality, and that awareness that is you. We'll begin our meditation practice with focusing on the breath coming in and the breath going out. And with the mind, training the mind to be aware of this movement and giving it a word, giving it a direction. A word describing the direction of the breath coming in. For example, the breath coming in and going down as I inhale. Breath going in and out as I exhale, and up. In and down, out and up. 2 words describing the way I feel the breath coming in and down, inhaling, out and up, exhaling. And staying with this practice as the breath becomes more rhythmical. Not controlling it, letting it soften, becoming more and more aware of the breath moving in the body, as well as being aware of the direction and the words you've given to it. Being aware of the time that it takes for the breath to come in. This is actually a measure of time. Being aware of the passage of time as I become aware of duration in my breath. Some breaths are longer and some are shorter. Not trying to control the breath at all, allowing any pauses that arise to arise. And not forcing a rhythmical pattern to the breath at all. Noticing the movement of the body in response to the way the breath moves in the body. Noticing that not all breaths are the same in length. And now moving towards training our awareness of the breath. In the first 2 stages of this practice, we focus on training our mind to be a support in our practice by cognizing and giving a description of the breath. Here, we're focusing on the sensation that I have, the perception of the breath, that is me, without elaborating cognitively. Just feeling the way the breath moves in my body and focusing on the breath going out, the exhalation. Just noticing the way the exhalation begins. It's much more subtle than the inhalation. And I feel that subtlety of difference. It's almost like it doesn't begin and there it is. It's so hard to get that very moment of the exhalation arising. It's almost like it begins while the inhalation is still going on. But the ending of the exhalation is very different. The breath dissolves and there's nothing there. As your awareness of the breath dissolves, focus on that movement through time. Allow the inhalation to be deep and full or short and soft. But make that exhalation longer and longer and longer and longer without stressing. And at the moment when there's no more breath, pausing and kind of holding that stillness with your mind. Stopping the movement of the body and relaxing the restraint and inhaling. Try to make that inhalation really slow and deep if it can be, or whatever it is, letting it flow and returning a long, slow, deliberate exhalation, pausing, exploring, looking at that absence of movement of breath. Who looks? Who sees? In a previous meditation class, we focus on the subject, that is me, which sees the object which is outside of me. Subject and object. We used our gazing to be more aware of that difference. As I inhale, I close my eyes. As I exhale, I open them and see that which is outside of me. As I inhale, I close my eyes and pull that back in, letting that vision stay in my mind as long as it can. As it dissolves, I return to looking at who is here now. Who's here now in my awareness. That question of who is here now is a very important question. Because that really does determine how I see the world outside when I open my eyes. We don't all see the same world. It's a very important thing to know. Where did I come from? When I was born, when you were born into a culture, a family that was already there. You're born into that. The values, the place, the time, the parents, the friends, the society, you became that thing without even knowing it. That is such an important and powerful reality of seeing things as they are. I was born into this world and became part of that world. Language was part of that movement. I couldn't speak or understand when I was born. I had to learn the language to find myself in that world. As we grow, we become part of it and accept it and want acceptance in that world. Seeking that becomes part of our way of relating to the world. Thinking, this is me, this is my world, this is who I am. This is the language that I use to describe and keep myself present and acceptable in that world. Learning what to do, what not to do, what to say, what not to say. That is who I am. That's where we come from. see that subject, the fullness of that subject is part of meditation. Who's here now? What do I bring to this moment when I open my eyes and see? Can I open my eyes and be free of my past? Can I do that? So right now, we live in a pretty tumultuous world in America. But compared to some other places, it's very mild. We don't awaken to bombs raining on our homes. We don't awaken to soldiers walking down the street shooting people as they come out of their doors. We do not awaken to that terror. The world that is this fullness includes all of that. All of the terrible and all of the wonderful. That is our world. This practice of opening the eyes as I exhale and seeing what is in front of me allows me to see how I move into that fullness of the world. Do I isolate and cut down what I see to make sure it doesn't bother me, I'm not disturbed, I'm comfortable, so I turn off my perceptions to exclude what I don't want to know about? Do I do that? Or can I be whatever is there, awakening, embracing, and knowing this is how it is. This is how it is. Coming back into here's how I am, this is how that is, and not being disturbed by that difference. So we find our ground in this practice as I close my eyes and inhale to come back to that self-awareness. This is who I am. And seeing my reaction to what I see. And we gaze at objects that sometimes cause us to be disturbed or to be not disturbed, to kind of see my reaction to them. I can do this anywhere in this world. Walking down the street, sitting on a bus, opening my eyes, gazing at the world around me, the world of samsara. In yoga, in Buddhism, samsara is not a good place to be. We cannot control this world. It's a world that is filled with pain and suffering, especially as you get older or sick and die. But we want to be present to the world as it is without being disturbed by it. So we do this practice of finding peace of mind as I open and close my eyes. Coming back to stillness, centering, grounding, opening, seeing, accepting, watching my own reaction to what I see. Now the breath is a very useful tool to come back into, just for the purpose of bringing the awareness back into here I am at this moment, in this place, in this time. Spending a few moments here, just with your breath. And then asking you to think about some image that you saw or something you heard about in the last few days that disturbed you. And seeing if you can kind of pull back into that moment, that disturbance where this thing unsettled me. And to see where the roots of that imbalance were. Doesn't matter what it is, unique to each one of us. And doing this with the eyes open. So now the eyes are not gazing at anything, but seeing the world around me while I focus on something that is difficult for me to be present with. So I stay out of my imagination by keeping my eyes open. It's a very useful thing to stay present in the world as it is, as I gaze at it. Or I allow that subtle movement of my awareness to focus on something else. Moving through the memory of the past few days to find something that was difficult. And noticing the power of that investigation. Lots of energy arises in this way. My feelings began to emerge a little bit more into my awareness of them. Until I can settle on that particular moment of difficulty. In Buddhism, the first noble truth is suffering, but it's a specific suffering, some particular thing that I experience that caused me pain. I've got to know what that moment, that specific moment is, to know how to be present to it. That's why I go back into this memory to find that particular thing that I can know disturb my awareness. Release that. Prepare yourself for Shavasana. You may want to stay sitting. You may want to lie down. For me, sitting is very comfortable, so I'm going to stay where I am. But I am going to refine my form. Making some choices with my body before I settle down. And for those of you who are lying down, do the same thing. Notice the back of your body, making contact with the mat, the blanket. Notice the specific parts of your body that are resting there. Begin to pull the shoulder blades together, kind of and down to open the chest, and kind of reach the hands away from you and down. Tuck the chin and the legs in the back of the neck, and make sure supporting the back of the head is comfortable. Maybe move the legs a little bit to make sure the hips are open. And then allow the mind to do nothing. To do nothing. To simply be aware of doing nothing. Keeping that restraint. In that restraint, notice the great energy in that restraint. And where that energy flows from within the body. It moves within the body from someplace. Keep the breath flowing evenly and completely. This really is a breath awareness Shavasana. Aware of the mental restraint, to not let the mind do something. By being present to the breath, keeping the breath full, relaxed, Saying no to any mental activity to do, to grasp, to reach, to fix, to understand. And letting all of that go. Allowing the mind to wander, if it will. And then bringing your knees up to your chest, rocking from side to side, getting some movement back into the body, and then rolling over to your side and getting ready to sit up. Or if you're in your chair, readjusting, getting balanced, getting prepared for the final moments together. And then bring your hands up to your heart. Let them touch and feel the skin, the fingers touching. Become aware of your breath. Inhale to find it. If you'd like to join me in 3 Ohms, please do. Inhaling. Thank you very much.
Namaste.
Have a nice day.
Oh.
It's really nice. Whatever.
Oh, my computer